Hello and welcome to Frankly Speaking, where we dive deep into regional headlines and speak with leading policymakers and business leaders. I am Katie Jensen. In this episode of Frankly Speaking, we hear from Ali Assiri, the former Saudi ambassador to Pakistan and Lebanon. We ask the extent to which Israel's actions contribute to the proliferation of regional terrorism and the ramifications for Lebanon as the crisis extends beyond Gaza. Plus, can Pakistan's new Prime Minister navigate the challenges to steer the country towards stability? And we uncover the valuable lessons Saudi Arabia can offer in fostering peace within the region. Ambassador, thank you for joining us today on Frankly Speaking. Now, you authored a book about how Saudi Arabia fought and defeated terrorism, which plagued the kingdom close to 20 years ago. Frankly speaking, given what is going on today in the region with the ongoing atrocities in Gaza, do you not feel that Israel is contributing to the creation of regional terrorism 2.0? And what would your advice be to resolve this conflict?
Well, definitely. What's happening in Gaza does contribute to a rise of terrorism, unfortunately. And the answer is Israel has to stop immediately and deal in a human way with those hostages who have been taken in without being tortured and taken into other areas where their parents, they have no idea where everybody is. So Israel need to stop, and immediate stop. That's the answer to this.
And of course, shocking devastation there. We know ceasefire talks continue to falter as well. But let's talk about the effects of the crisis being felt in other countries more widely throughout the region. You were also ambassador to Lebanon and certainly quite the expert when it comes to Lebanese politics. So tell me, how do you see the ongoing war in Gaza spilling over into Lebanon, which, as we know, is already facing sky-high inflation levels, around 250%, growing poverty and a very fragile infrastructure system?
Well, indeed, it's contributing to the northern of Israel, to the south of Lebanon. There is tick and tack between Hezbollah and Israel. We hope this doesn't escalate to further war, because if we remember, the 2006 war has devastated Lebanon. And all Lebanese, they really don't want war. They want peace. They have bad economy. They have bad governance. They have corrupted system in their banks, so they don't need war. They need peace and prosperity. That's what the Lebanese do. I see some efforts being made by the U.S. Sending their envoy between Israel. He has shuttle diplomacy between Israel and Lebanon, and hopefully that would contribute to a real ceasefire. And we hope also that ceasefire will take place in Gaza. Ramadan is coming, and the brutality that we have seen will not make any happy, whether any human being, especially in the Muslim world.
Absolutely. And meanwhile, we continue to see the death roll rise. We've seen people trying to access aid trucks being targeted as well. And the stories and the atrocities that are coming out every day are absolutely shocking. But let me ask you about Hezbollah, because they've remained mostly out of the conflict. So, Ambassador, in your opinion, does that signify a weakened position? Or do you think Hezbollah has shown its true colours, that it's not actually interested in Palestine and only wants to control Lebanon?
Well, Hezbollah, actually, the command comes from Iran, and it depends what Iran wants. And Iran will just, Hezbollah will listen to the command that comes from Iran. Iran is trying to use their armed militias, whether it's in Iraq or Yemen or Lebanon, as a bargaining chip with the USA. So unfortunately, they don't have the authority to say what they want to say. They are Lebanese, but their great supporter is Iran, and the command will just come from Tehran.
Meanwhile, we continue to see Tehran try and flex its muscles in the region. But let me look a little bit more widely. Looking at Pakistan, you were also ambassador there as well. Now, we've seen the elections take place recently. Shehbaz Sharif has been elected in as the Prime Minister for the second time after securing 201 votes. Tell me, how far do you think the 2024 elections can go in bringing stability to Pakistan, which, as we know, is facing skyrocketing inflation, unemployment, debt burden, energy shortages, and the rising cost of essential items there as well?
Well, I'm actually optimistic because the Shehbaz Sharif is a very well experienced individual who has been the chief minister of the Punjab, which is the biggest province in Pakistan. So he has the experience, and also he seems to select so far a real good professional team. So that leads me, to be optimistic. I don't think it could get worse because the economy has really been very bad. The IMF has been very difficult with Pakistan due to so many reasons. So I think, with the help of good professional ministers and a good leading individual, a good leader as Shehbaz Sharif, I think Pakistan hopefully would pick up and deal with the economy. And I think that was the slogan through the election. But Shehbaz is a very well experienced individual and he knows what to do. So let's hope, because Saudi Arabia and Pakistan really enjoy a great relationship, ever since before even Pakistan was Pakistan, since 1943, King Abdul Aziz sent his sons to Karachi when they had floods to help Pakistan, and their relationship grows with every leadership. It's people to people relationship. The relationship is really unique, profound, and durable. So, Pakistan is a great ally of Saudi Arabia, and I'm sure they appreciate this unique relationship.
Well, let's talk about some of those challenges. In your opinion, what should the priorities be for the new government? We've recently seen them push for new talks with the IMF to try and fast track the new loan program. So I know Mr. Sharif personally. If you could sit down with him, what advice would you give him for navigating the year ahead?
Well, first of all, I think he should look into the government part and fight corruption. I think that's the most important thing. Secondly, there are a lot of resources in Pakistan that has not been touched at all. Thirdly, the manufacturing, there is a very industrial, one of the best industrial cities I have seen is called Sialkot, and they have, the FIFA football is made there. They have really leather, they have product, they have surgical equipment, so if they could focus on those and upgrade those factors and attract investment, whether from Saudi Arabia or the GCC countries, I think that would help a great deal. I'm sure that they will get help from the IMF. The government is a credible government, professional government. So I think their bargaining with the IMF would not be as difficult as it has been in the past with other government. So that's why I think also they are experienced, they know what to do. They are I think they picked up one very highly experienced man exposed to the world economy. I think he worked at so many banks outside Pakistan to be the Minister of Finance. So that's what I see is a great progress to select professional ministers. Relevance is so important when you put a minister on the seat. So I think hopefully everything would be better than it is today.
Okay, so you clearly have a very positive outlook and opinion of him, but a number of analysts have come out and said many people feel there's a real lack of public trust in Mr. Sharif's administration. We've seen the opposition, mainly Imran Khan and his followers, they say the people's mandate has been stolen in the last election. Now, the Imran Khan-backed candidates did remarkably well. They secured around 93 seats despite being hit with a number of criminal charges and being disqualified from holding any kind of public office. So, in your opinion, how fair and transparent do you think these polls were?
I spent 9 years in Pakistan, and every election you would have the same slogan from the opposition. So I wouldn't really give it much credit, to what they say. The point here is who's going to help Pakistan. Obviously, opposition, they will always have something to say against the government, whether it's Imran Khan or the others. Imran Khan he won a lot of seats in the West, in Khyber and towards Afghanistan. And to be honest with you, and I think the governance in the past was not as good and professional as it should have been, and obviously the Pakistani people, they know exactly what helped them to pick up their economy. Their currency has fallen so bad in the last 3-4 years. So I think the answer is to have a good governance, and what we see today leads me to be very optimistic.
So clearly, some big challenges still remain. If we were to look at the relationship between Saudi Arabia and Pakistan, where do you see the main highlights of this relationship, and how do you think that has evolved over the last few years?
Well, first of all, the relationship is not really, unfortunately, it's not based on interest. It is based, which usually a relationship between countries, it serves their interest and both sides. With Pakistan, our base of relationship is our strong belief, and Pakistanis are a very conservative Muslim society, and their love for the holy places in Saudi Arabia and it's outrage. I mean, I had one of the Imam Harams who visited Pakistan, and you wouldn't believe 500,000 people prayed behind him, even outside the mosque in Islamabad. So that reflects how much their love and affection towards the holy places, and then towards Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia has never let Pakistan down in time of need, and from King Abdulaziz also even to King Salman. The Crown Prince has visited several times Pakistan because he knows how important Pakistan is and how important our relationship is. And therefore, I could speak hours on the relationship, which we hope that we will translate this love and affection into good economy between both countries, because we have the PIF, and they could really go to Pakistan and invest in great factories and upgrade them to produce more, so Pakistanis will benefit and also Saudi will benefit. So there are many areas now with the new leadership, dynamic Saudi leadership we have, and the economic strategy that we have. I think we can help Pakistan more, and they will help themselves also.
Well, certainly a lot of potential there. I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on their relationship with Saudi Arabia, though. We mentioned earlier, Mr. Sharif. What can you tell us about his leadership traits? Do you think he is the right man for the job in Pakistan in the year ahead? You had quite a positive outlook for him earlier, but in terms of your personal relationship with him, what are the real standouts for you?
Well, I see for this period, I think he is the best to be chosen due to his experience, his patriotism, his loyalty to his country, and his acceptance, to most people. Obviously, they have coalition government now, and it's always that way in Pakistan. You can never have one major party run the country, which is sometimes, it contributes to goodwill, because the coalition, is a deterrent to over governance. So I would say, for the time being, and what I know of his experience, his personality, his loyalty to his country, I think this leads me to always repeat my optimism and prayers for them to succeed, because Pakistan is in a bad, really economic situation now.
What would your advice be to him when it comes to Saudi Arabia?
Well, my advice to him is to look into the economy, to fight the corruption, and to really, try to upgrade the industrial cities, because they have really good materials. They export to America, fabrics and things, and so the economy is the answer to help Pakistanis and Pakistan, and to attract tourism, investment from everywhere, I would say.
Well, whilst the relationship between Saudi and Pakistan has certainly grown closer in the last few years, we continue to see a lot of animosity between India and Pakistan. But I was interested that in an article you published in Arab News back in January 2022, you argued, in fact, that the two arch rivals actually can benefit greatly from cooperation. But let's be frank, the leaders in both countries seem to have ignored that advice. We've seen a very strained relationship in the last few years. So tell me, do you believe that enhanced relations between these two nuclear powers is still possible, and how?
Well, I truly, I think, the tension is so high. So what I would suggest is really to because this had happened in the past when I was actually serving in Pakistan. What is needed is to reduce the tension between the two countries to allow, because family, there are families in Pakistan, family in India who are, relatives. So to ease the access and travel between Pakistan and India, to ease the business deals between Pakistan and India, this would hopefully lead to a very constructive discussion between both countries, and ultimately, hopefully, would lead to peace and stability in both countries. Because the animosity is it's so, the tension is very, very really high, and we need to go gradual to reduce that tension in order to have a reasonable, logical discussion, between both leaders in both countries.
Well, we continue to see huge conflicts over the disputed region of Kashmir. We see religious differences, ongoing territorial disputes as well, all putting huge strain on this relationship. Do you think that countries like Saudi Arabia and the UAE can play a role in mediating between both sides?
I have no doubt, yes. The answer, I would say yes, because both countries enjoy a very good relationship with both countries, with India and Pakistan. And I hope, in the future, but, it's a process. It cannot be really, done in a short time. The process would ultimately leads to a good compromising solution between both countries. But yes, the answer to your good question is yes, indeed, if needed, and both countries enjoy a good relationship with both countries.
Now, New Delhi maintains that for any dialogue to be able to begin, they say Pakistan must stop cross-border terrorism. Now, this is an area of expertise for you in particular. We saw Saudi Arabia's victory over terrorism several years ago, and this was not only a military success, of course, but an ideological one too. So tell me, how did the kingdom achieve this? You've spoken a lot about the importance of prevention, to being able to ensure rehabilitation as well. So what can you tell us about the Al Munasaha program? Is it still ongoing, and what are the real key achievements of this?
Actually, I have written a book on this, but I don't think the time would permit us to go very long. But I will briefly, Saudi Arabia has adopted a very comprehensive strategy to counter terrorism, including military as well as non-military instruments. But the three-pronged strategies you kindly mentioned, number one is prevention, which means, because our youngsters were misled and being taken in and indoctrinated. So they were not, familiar with the real spirit message of Islam, and these people were taken by extremists who were able to influence them. And we have to remember, religion, in any religion, is a great influence on the individuals. But then, so Saudi Arabia had a very good campaign to prevent this on the media, the religious discourse, moderate religious discourse in the mosques and the radio and cassettes and so forth. So they were the awareness, a very big awareness program that was done to lead with the mindset of those who think to become terrorists or have been indoctrinated and taken in by those extremists. So that was the prevention. Then the cure for committees were, after arresting those deviant individuals and detained, then a committee formed, four different subcommittees. One is religious scholars who would go and that's a subcommittee that would talk to the individuals, try to correct the perception that they have, the image they have, the wrong image of Islam that they have been told, and try to really educate them the moderate Islam and the good peaceful spirit of Islam. So that's the religious scholars. Then you come to social and psychological and other professionals, psychiatrists also. They take role after the religious leaders, and they talk to them and they try to assess what went wrong with them. Then after that, you have a security committee which evaluate how well those committees have achieved, and is this person back to normal? Can we trust to be here? This person will come out in the committee. Today there is one man who is still in jail, who thinks he's the only Muslim in the whole world, and such a man, you couldn't do anything. But the effective strategy that Saudi Arabian government has taken to really deal with this menace has been really, really successful. Then you have a media subcommittee also, which spread the same message that they have learned from those individuals and try to correct and help those to prevent others from getting into the same business. Then the last strategy is care, which means those people who have been arrested and have been rehabilitated fully and trusted to be back as normal people, the government had helped them. They gave them jobs. They helped them to get married. They are back into the society, and that, I would say, this has been the most successful strategy in the whole world. We have seen other countries where they arrested terrorists and they torture them and they interrogate them, and they stay in jail for a long time, or they come back and go to the same business. So I'm very honored to see our government has taken a civilized approach to deal with this phenomena that has nothing to do with Islam. Islam has been hijacked by extremists and radicals, and today with the new strategy in Saudi Arabia that has been implemented, and the role that the current government has taken in entertainment and recreational centers, and the youngsters are happy, and I don't think they would ever think of getting back or to be terrorists again. Never.
And I think you make such an important point about rehabilitation, the fact that people have the opportunity to take part in education, counselling, as well as vocational training to help them reintegrate into society is key. Tell me, how do you believe that these kinds of measures can really serve as a model for other nations around the world facing similar challenges?
I can say proudly, many countries have copied the Saudi strategy in the Arab world, and also in other countries in South Asia and Southeast Asia. I'm sure they have learned so much from Saudi Arabia, and I think it's all over now. The Saudi strategy is not only a regional strategy. I think it has spread to many countries, especially the Muslim countries.
Well, it is an incredible program. I know you've spoken a lot about it in your book. Ambassador, thank you very much for joining us today on Frankly Speaking. We really appreciate your insights, not only into the crisis in Gaza and the relationship between Pakistan and Saudi, but how we can hopefully eventually bring peace to the Middle East. We do appreciate your time today. Thank you.
Well, I appreciate having me, and thank you very much, Katie.